Have you ever crawled into bed completely exhausted, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually too? You love Jesus. You love your church. You love serving people. But if you're honest, you are running on empty. Maybe you've spent all week pouring into everyone else. You've encouraged others, solved problems, listened to hurts, organized events, cared for your family, and somehow tried to keep up with your own responsibilities. Yet, when you finally have a quiet moment, you realize you have nothing left to give. If that's you today, I want you to know you're not alone. Welcome to my channel. I'm Susan Belisle, pastor's wife, ministry coach, author, and someone who has served in ministry alongside my husband for more than 2 decades. I know what it feels like to carry the weight of ministry while trying to keep your own heart healthy. This channel exists to help pastors' wives and women in ministry navigate ministry challenges through mindset transformation so you can stop merely surviving ministry and begin truly thriving. If that's something you need, would you take just a second to subscribe? It helps more women discover this channel, and you'll never miss a new episode designed to encourage and equip you. Today, we're talking about something that affects nearly every woman in ministry: how to stop doing ministry on empty. So let's dive in. Feeling empty isn't just physical. One of the biggest lies we believe is this: if I can just get a little more sleep, I'll be okay. Now, sleep is incredibly important, but sometimes you're tired because your spirit is empty. Sometimes your soul is weary. Sometimes your body has been neglected. You can sleep 8 hours and still wake up exhausted. Why? Because we are three-part beings. We are spirit, soul, and body. When one area is neglected, eventually every area begins to suffer. God never intended for us to serve Him from depletion. He calls us to minister from overflow. Jesus modeled this time and time again. He often withdrew. He prayed. He rested. He ate. He spent time with close friends. If the Son of God needed margin, why do we think we don't? So, what does empty look like? Sometimes we don't realize we're empty because we've become accustomed to functioning that way. Maybe empty looks like you're easily irritated. You dread another church event. You secretly hope someone cancels. Your quiet time feels dry. You can't remember the last time you laughed. You feel emotionally numb. You love people, but honestly don't want to be around them. Or maybe you're still serving faithfully, but you've lost your joy. Friend, that's a warning light. Just like the gas light in your car, ignoring it won't make it disappear. Eventually, you stop moving. Remember this: Jesus never asked us to serve from empty. For the past year, God has been speaking to me deeply through John 15, which says, I am the vine, you are the branches. Notice something: branches don't produce fruit by trying harder. They produce fruit by staying connected. Many of us are trying to squeeze fruit out of empty branches. We're trying harder, doing more, serving longer, instead of abiding deeper. Ministry should always flow from intimacy with Jesus, not replace it. It's so important that we fill our spirit, so let's begin here. Your spirit is nourished by your relationship with God, not sermon preparation, not Bible study preparation or the studies that you teach. Not planning church events. Those are wonderful, but they are not the same as sitting with Jesus simply because you love him. Ask yourself this: when was the last time I spent time with God and had no agenda, no lesson to prepare, no podcast to record, no message to write, just you and Jesus? Maybe that looks like reading one psalm slowly, taking a prayer walk, listening in silence, journaling, worshiping in your living room. The goal isn't checking off another spiritual discipline. The goal is communion. Jesus said, "Come to me," not "come do more for me," not "let's do more together." So now let's talk about filling your soul. Your soul includes your mind, will, and emotions. Many women in ministry have healthy spirits, but wounded souls. We carry disappointment, church hurt, criticism, comparison, fear, loneliness, unprocessed grief, and we keep serving. Eventually, our soul becomes exhausted. One of the healthiest things you can do is simply acknowledge your emotions before God. David did. The Psalms are full of honest prayers. God isn't intimidated by your feelings. He invites you to bring them to him. One practice that has transformed my own life is learning to recognize my thoughts. Because our thoughts create our emotions, and our emotions create the life we live. Ask yourself, what am I believing right now? Is it true? Does it agree with God's word? Or is it simply fear, comparison, or people pleasing? The Bible tells us to be transformed by the renewing of our minds. That's not a one-time event. It's a daily practice. The third part in this equation is our body. Sometimes we separate spirituality from physical health, but God doesn't. Your body is his temple. Taking care of yourself isn't selfish. It's stewardship. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is eat lunch, drink lots of water, go to bed early, take a long, leisurely walk, move your body, say no to more commitment. Many women feel guilty for resting, but God created Sabbath before he created ministry. Rest isn't weakness. Rest is worship. When we rest, we are declaring, God, you can run your church without me. That's true humility, not laziness. Let's look at creating a rhythm instead of living in crisis. One of the biggest mindset shifts I've had to make is this: don't wait until you're empty to refill. Most of us treat ourselves like our phones. We wait until we're about 2%. Then we panic and plug in. God invites us to live differently. Create rhythms that refill you daily, not just once a year on vacation. Ask yourself every morning, what can I do today to nourish my spirit? What can I do today to care for my soul? What can I do today to strengthen my body? Small, consistent habits create lasting transformation. Here is a practical weekly reset. Something simple, a rhythm that might help you. Every week, spend time alone with God. Meet with a trusted friend. Move your body several times. Protect one Sabbath period. Read something that encourages you. Laugh. Sit outside. Do something simply because it brings you joy. These aren't luxuries, they're part of healthy stewardship. Lastly, I want to encourage you to remember why you're serving. Sometimes we become so busy serving Jesus that we stop enjoying Jesus. Ministry becomes obligation instead of overflow, performance instead of presence, activity instead of intimacy. Friend, Jesus doesn't need another exhausted worker. He wants your heart. He wants you. Everything else flows from there. So here's a challenge this week. Instead of adding something else to your to-do list, I want you to remove one thing, one unnecessary commitment, one expectation, one obligation that God never asked you to carry. Then replace it with one thing that fills your spirit, your soul, or your body. Watch and see what God begins to do. If you've been running on empty for a long time, please hear this. You are not failing. You are human. And God is not asking you to produce more. He's inviting you to remain in Him, just like we learn about in John 15. You don't have to earn His love. You don't have to prove your worth. You don't have to save everyone. Jesus already did that. Your calling isn't to live depleted. Your calling is to abide and let His life flow through you. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. If this episode encouraged you, would you subscribe to my channel? It helps other pastors' wives and women in ministry find biblical encouragement and practical tools to thrive instead of merely survive. I'd also love for you to share this episode with a friend who may be feeling weary. You never know how God might use one conversation to bring hope to another woman's heart. If you're ready to move beyond burnout, church hurt, loneliness, or ministry overload, and would like personalized support, I offer one-on-one coaching designed specifically for pastors' wives and women in ministry. You can learn more at susanbelisle.com. And don't forget to join my Call to Ministry private Facebook community, where pastors' wives gather for encouragement, connection, and support. We'd love to welcome you there. Until next time, remember, God hasn't called you to simply survive ministry. He's called you to thrive. See you next week.